Welcome back to the Musical Connections podcast. I'm your host, Zach Snow, and I am so excited to have here in the studio a country music legend. He is a two-time Juno Award winner, known for songs like I Think I'll Just Say Goodbye, Eastbound 401, and he was also part of projects such as the Singers for Fishermen record. He is here for a benefit for the people up in Labrador City who have been battling vicious wildfires. And I'm here to talk all about his career, and what brings him here is the legend himself, Mr. Eddie Eastman. Welcome to the podcast, buddy.
Hey, man, it's great to be here. I think I haven't done a lot of podcasts, but I'm happy to do this one. And it's always exciting to have a new venue, new type thing for getting out into the marketplace and things. So
yes, for sure. And it's because of ventures like this that I get to interview legends like yourself, because we can go fully deep into your career, because you, as I said, you are a legend. And again, I'm sorry for making you feel old, but like you've done a lot of stuff throughout your career that really needs to be talked about.
Well, I appreciate that. I should say, I started a recording career when I lived in St. John's, but it wasn't Eddie Eastman at the time. So I went when I got to Ontario is when I recorded some songs and stuff like that I had said, well, to my wife, my last name is Rosell.
Yeah,
right?
Rousel
or Rosell, whatever you want to say. And it's kind of hard to pronounce, and it doesn't flow as well for entertaining, so Eddie Eastman just sounds more natural, right? So I went to my manager at the time. I said, we're going to release this single. I'm going to put it out as Eddie Eastman. And nobody knew me from Adam, whether I was from Newfoundland or Vancouver or anywhere, right? And it was only after the song came out and it became a big hit that folks back in Newfoundland realized who Eddie Eastman was. So the Eastman part of it came a little bit later, but we did start recording under Eddie Rousel when I was with the Country DuCats, but way back when.
Wonderful. So how did you settle with the Eastman last name? How'd you come up with that?
Basically, it's the man from the East. That was it. Eastman, my man from the East. And a funny story is, when I went back to St. John's here and did a show after the success of the first Juno, and we had a young fellow from Hare Bay and another young fellow from Glovertown playing drums, and the lead guitar player was Albert McDonald. He was from Nova Scotia. Of course, I'm from Terra Nova. So I'm on the stage, and I go, it was written long ago that 3 wise men would come out of the east following a star. And I went, now there's a brilliant idea. The crowd cracked up. I didn't realize what I had said, right? I said, I didn't mean it that way.
Oh, man.
But, it's just Eastman, man from the east, and that's about it. Other than trying to get something that flowed off my tongue a little better for entertaining-wise, when it
and for the general public too, because unless you're outside of like Newfoundland and Labrador, we all know how to pronounce that name, like Rousel.
Yep.
But for someone that's out in the mainland, they probably wouldn't know how to pronounce it. So Eastman is probably the best thing that you can go with.
Exactly, and now that I live in Nashville, I guess it just wasn't Nashville, but every time we had to, put your name down for a license or whatever the case may be, they'd always have Roswell. Roswell. It was only last week we bought another car, right? We had a little business in Nashville. Bought another car, so I had to go get the paperwork done, I get the title back, and it says Roswell. Now I got to go back down there and go through this rigmarole of changing the title to the car to Rousel, because Eastman is just a stage name, right?
Yeah.
And so Rousel has to be put on there. Otherwise, if I ever go to sell it, I couldn't sell it because it's a different name, So it's a process. It'll be the second time this has happened, right? I think they're thinking about Roswell, Georgia, back in the day when they had the aliens and stuff like that. So down there, they do the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Or dyslexia. I'm not sure which.
Hey, bye. So you were born in Terra Nova. So how did this whole career of music start for you, Eddie?
Well, born in Terra Nova, and right in the community is where I was born. No hospital or nothing like that. But all my brothers, I'm the last of a family of 10. There was 10 of us, and I'm the youngest. I just turned 75. So everybody else is still older than me, but we've had a few people that have passed away, in a sense. But anyway, I used to sit out on I guess we call it the veranda, and I had a guitar and a microphone, and I'd be out there wailing away, singing whatever I could, whatever was popular at the time. Like I said, the different artists, Marty Robbins, stuff like that, or Cash, or whoever was popular at the time. And one day, a young fella came walking down the road, and he stands outside the fence, and he's looking, and he comes in, and he said, "I heard you singing over there." He said, "I'm here working on the railroad. I've got a railroad project going on through Terra Nova." And he introduced himself. His name was Ronnie Walsh. And I'm like, okay. So he said, and he looked at my gear. I don't think he was too impressed. It was like a Kent mic and a National guitar. It wasn't even a National. It was a Sears catalog guitar and a little symphonic amp. I thought I had the world. I don't think he was too impressed with it, though. But anyway, that year I graduated school and I went to college, College of Trades and Technology here in St. John's.
Oh, okay.
Taking electronics, and I'm walking down the hallway in the college, and the first guy I met in the college was the young fellow that came and heard me singing in Terra Nova.
Wow.
He said, "Hey, man," he says, "You want to join a band?" I'm like, "Of course I do." And that's what happened. I joined a band, and Lenny Power was the drummer at the time. I didn't know these guys then until I got to meet them all, and that's how kind of it started. And we went on from there. One thing led to another,
That's crazy. And you ended up leading to becoming the lead singer of the Country DuCats. And the Country DuCats were a pretty popular country band back in the 1970s.
Yep.
And another one of the country legends there, of course, everyone calls him the Newfoundland version of Johnny Cash, Dick Nolan. And he ended up playing with him on the Singers for Fishermen record, which we'll get to later on. But let's stick with the DuCats for a moment. How did you get involved with them?
Well, like I said, I was singing around town here. We had a 4-piece band, we had a 5-piece band, a 3-piece band. We were playing all over wherever you go, weddings, or we were up at Topsail Beach back in the day, and they always had pretty good acts come up there playing the little stage, So we played there, and one day I saw a couple of the guys I recognized from the DuCats, going around listening to me sing, I guess, And then one day I get approached by Louis Skinner, who was the lead player and the leader of the DuCats. He was asked me if I'd be interested in fronting the Country DuCats. They're going to start doing some country music. So I'm like, yeah, I would love to. And then I had to go and tell my other little band that I'd been with for a while that I was moving on, And it was one of the toughest things I've ever had to do was to say, oh, guys, I'm going to move on to the Country DuCats and take it from there. And the first place we played at that time was the Strand Lounge back in the day.
The Avalon Mall, yeah.
Yeah, and that was big time, right? To me.
I think that closed the year I was born.
Oh, yeah? Well, there you go. See? You're just a young whippersnapper,
I know. I really wish the Strand Lounge was still open so I could get to experience that nowadays. But, a lot of the pubs that you normally would see that you played around town back when you were... coming up, a lot of that has changed.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of it has changed. Just there's not as many places for full-time bands to play and be able to afford, to play music for a living all the time. It's not an easy process. I'm sure back in the day when I was on the go, you could promote yourself half decently, pretty good. When you got a little record or whatever the case may be, whether you're playing a gig somewhere. But today, it's unless you got a major deal and stuff like that, it's kind of difficult to promote yourself across the country,
So are independent artists more like is it harder for independent artists really now, just from your point of view, to get that big breakout versus someone who's signed to say a Universal or a Sony?
Well, it used to be, but with all this stuff like your podcasts and then now the internet with all the streaming and stuff. I mean, if you could go on there and come up with a song and send it out, next thing you know, who knows? What's that young fella had that song out there? I forget his name, but they're all internet successes. And then I don't know if they ever get deals with major labels, but some of them don't need it anymore. They've been able to promote themselves online through these streaming systems, all the different media outlets,
Yeah, but at the same time too, back in the day, selling and, making money off the records really, was a good sustainable source of income for musicians.
Yeah.
And I find when I talk to musicians nowadays, like the streaming world really has, changed things either for the better or for the worse. I think for the better for exposure, I think worse because the streaming services nowadays don't even pay half or like a fraction of what you guys used to make back in the day when you sold all those LPs.
Yeah, we could sell an LP or a CD or whatever the case may be. It might have had an 8-track cartridge. That's going back. Anyway, like streaming, you could probably get 1 million streams. You might make $20. I mean, it's just incredible that it's gotten to that point where musicians have a hard time. They might have a successful record in social media.
Yes,
but selling the product, they make more money selling it at a venue, way more money.
Yeah, and that's what makes it important now more than ever, because you really want those people now to come to those venues. But I also find with the social media, you really got to get lucky with that stuff as well. As much as you put in the work in, like it only takes one song or one video to really send you into that stratosphere.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of some of the people that has happened to, but some of the U.S. artists and different artists have done it, but they've always seemed to come up with some kind of a song that really strikes a chord with people.
Yeah,
it's not just a general song; it just seems to be, the character themselves. They project that character onto the social media, and people like it, and they get a lot of hits, and next thing you know, they're out playing gigs without a major label, but playing major fair dates and stuff like that, which is amazing, really. That part of it I like. I wish we had that kind of access to the general public back when I was just starting, because we had when I was going to do a gig, we have the band. If I had to get another band to back me up somewhere in Western Canada, I had to get a cassette tape together and take a whole day putting songs on there for them to listen to.
Yes.
Then I'd have to mail it out to them, and then a week later they'd get it.
Yeah.
It took forever to get a process done, but today it's just like instant.
Yeah, and like back in the day, the internet wasn't a thing for you guys.
No, far from it. Far from it.
But even like past the days, like when you were doing the Eddie Eastman show, the internet I think was a couple of years away from being established. And then when you put out Singers for Fishermen with the whole host of Newfoundland's finest like Dick Nolan and Debbie Jordan and A. Frank Willis and Peter Francis Quinlan, the internet was really just coming onto the scene. So that accessibility you had back in the day, you really had to put a lot more work in to make sure people heard your music. Whereas today, if you put a song on streaming services, you never know who could be listening. It's never been easier to listen to music.
No, it's real easy to listen to and easy to download. Let's say if you want to put it in your car, on your phone, or whatever. But the Singers for Fishermen wasn't a project that I started or anything. A. Frank Willis and
Peter Francis Quinlan.
Who I've known Peter for years. They started it, and I think I was in Nashville at the time, and so they called me about doing this project, but I couldn't be there, so they sent me the track, I listened to that, and then I got to Toronto, and my friend Albert McDonald, who produced it, he had a little studio in his apartment, so I went up there and sat in his apartment and just did the vocal track because he already had the music track. So I just went in there and did the vocal.
Yeah, and that was for Sonny's Dream?
Sonny's Dream, yeah. Yeah, written by
Ron Hines.
Mr. Ron Hines. And that was the first time I ever sang Sonny's Dream as a recording, But I didn't know. I mean, to me it sounded okay. I wasn't sure how good it was, but because I heard, Ron's version and a lot of other versions, and it got very successful. It became, it happened so fast that I never even had time to get my picture on the CD.
Yes.
If you notice on the CD, I'm not even on the CD. It's because the picture had already been taken, and I couldn't make it to there. I was on a gig.
Oh, wow.
And they wanted to get it out, right? So that's what they did. But every now and then I'll be in Canada. I'll be listening to some of the different stations there, and all of a sudden I'll hear Sonny's Dream by me, and I'm going, wow, that's pretty neat. You know, so it's one of them things. But I enjoyed doing that project because at the time it was great for fishermen, and I guess Frank and the boys figured they could use some help. You know.
Yes, because I think it was put out in '91 or probably '92. Because '92, everyone knows the cod moratorium happened, and then Fisheries Minister John Crosby closed the northern cod fishery because a lot of the fishermen that were here, they were getting their fish taken away by foreign trawlers.
Yeah, I mean they just raped the sea. You know, I mean it was terrible. But I'm glad they did it. It just seemed like it lasted much too long or something. You know. That's what it seems like to me. You know, I think they reopened. Did they not reopen that again?
Yeah, they reopened it recently.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing because some of the pictures I've seen online, some of them cod are
huge.
That long. I mean, they're big, huge things.
Huge.
So they've been around now, growing and multiplying, and that's a good thing. So hopefully it'll stay like it.
For sure. So the reason you're here this time around, you're going to be playing the benefit of the Rockhouse. By the time that this drops, it would have already happened. But of course, what brings you here really? And let's tie that into the Singers for Fishermen. So what is it about these causes that makes you want to participate in them and makes you want to come back each and every single time?
Well, it's a good opportunity for me to come back to Newfoundland for a start. You know, this is my home where I was born, raised, and I've been in Nashville for a while now. Of course, now we got grandkids there and all that stuff, so we're kind of there now, living. You know, but it's a good cause, and the one that we're going to do for Labrador on Friday night, or Wednesday night, sorry. It's much along the same process, you know, and I can imagine what these people are going through, being burnt out of their, stuff like homes or whatever, or just to get away from being burnt alive, you know. I mean,
and lose all their belongings with them too.
They'll lose everything, you know. And it happened in Fort McMurray a couple of years back, right? That was horrible to watch some of that stuff go on, and now it's happening again in the Labrador area, you know.
Yeah,
and it just pulls at your heartstrings. You got to pull up and take everything. Well, not everything, but as much as you can possibly take to get out of there. You know, I'm not sure now exactly what's happening to the fires today, but I'm sure they need help.
Oh yes, I believe
There's
the fire
no
now at this
doubt.
time we're recording. It's July 23rd is when we're doing this. I believe the fires are under control now, but you never know when one string of weather could make that strike again.
That's right. It's been so hot, and it's hot all over, I suppose. But people need to watch out when they're doing fires outside. You know, like it can be dangerous, especially when it's all so dry. Everything is so dry. But
oh yes,
I'm here just to be a part of the show. Me and there's several other acts. I'm going to go down to the Rock House and do some songs and see if we can raise some, not only money, but some awareness to what's going on in Labrador. Maybe other people can donate. I think it's just $10 to get in the door, but you can give what you can afford, you know. Whatever.
Oh, absolutely.
You know.
Now, one thing you were hot back in the day, I mean, when you moved to Toronto and got signed with BelAir back in those days, you put out some major hits. You put out I Think I'll Say Goodbye, Easy, and I think the song that I remember you most for, even though because I hear it like a lot on country radio programs here in town, is Eastbound 401. Now, tell me a little bit more about those BelAir days and those days when Eddie Eastman was hitting his stride.
Well, I was playing in a band here in town, and we were playing the nightclub scene. And but before that, I was a computer operator, and I worked for ShopRite of Canada out there in Brampton. I was a computer operator there, but it was an evening shift, 4 to midnight. So it didn't give me any time to be out singing 4 to midnight, you know. So I said to my wife, I came up here to start music or to make something happen, and I said, so I'm quitting this job. So I quit the job, and I get a call from a guy. He said, I got a band. He said, I just need a singer and a rhythm player. I said, well, I think I might be your man. So we got together and started playing. I forget the name of the band now, but we were doing a rehearsal one night in Burlington. And the guys were sitting around, and we had a little break, and they went out and get a beer or whatever it was. And while they were gone, I wrote Eastbound 401.
Wow.
In about 5 minutes.
That's crazy.
And after I had it finished, I brought it back to my apartment where my wife was. And I'm like, I got this song. I said, I think it's finished. I said, but I don't know what to put in for a second verse. Maybe it doesn't need it. It just says what it says, you know? And sure enough, I put a little turnaround on it and then came back into the chorus and did it again and worked out good. That was one song. And then I had another couple songs that I had ideas about. I was living in Milton and I started working on that. I Wonder What the Lonely People Do was another one that I was living in St. John's at my brother's apartment. It was wintertime. And if you look at the window, it's all frozen, you know, like the frost is on the window. So I'm kind of, I'm just kind of tracing something, just fooling around like a young fella, you know. And I said, I wonder what the lonely people do. My fingers trace your face as I stare up at the moon. And then it went on from there, and I finished that song. So I had about 4 songs. And I said, now what are we going to do now? So we went to the bank and got a loan. And the guy that was running the bank said, why didn't you come to me before you quit your job? I said, well, you know, what do you do, you know? But she was working, and of course I was working in the band and stuff, you know. And I called up Lloyd Green in Nashville, Tennessee, a steel player, famous steel player. And I knew he did sessions. And he called him. I didn't know him from Adam personally. So I called him up, told him what I wanted to do, and he gave me a price. And we had the number 1 team in Nashville on the record for those days, playing that kind of country music. Mm-hmm. So I got there and came back to Toronto with it all and brought it to my friend, Bob Cousins, who ended up being manager for me for the first 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I think he used to write for the Newfoundland Herald, didn't he?
Yeah, he was quite involved with, the Newfoundland Herald. I think he did an entertainment column.
Yeah, entertainment column, Insights and Sounds.
Insights and Sounds, that was it. Well,
yeah, and I believe Corey and Trina wrote a song about having agent Bob Cousins, Insights and Sounds. He's booking us at every lounge.
Yeah, well, there you go. That was Bob. He was a real go-getter, you know. And so when I brought him the tape, and he said, man, this is good stuff. So we talked about what we might do, and all. So we started a little company together, and he had a little label, BelAir Records.
Oh, so, that was his label?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was his little label. And so I said, well, I didn't know a whole lot about the music business as such. I was pretty green in that department, you know. So we started that, and then we sat in his laundry room, and we packaged up the 45s and sent them out across Canada to country radio.
Wonderful.
That was Eastbound on one side, and I'm trying to think what was on the other side. Eastbound was the B side.
What?
Of the single, yeah.
No way.
Yeah. But it became the song, but actually both songs on that single started going up the RPM country charts at the time. That's what it was called, before CCMA.
Yeah.
And that all happened. It was like, that was 1978. We recorded it in 77. And then the fall of 78, we had the big country awards in Regina, Saskatchewan. And Bob had us booked out there too, of course, you know. We traveled across and started playing the clubs out there. And I went to the function. We all did. I forget, didn't I not win for New Artist of the Year?
Yeah.
I was like flabbergasted. It all happened like within less than a year.
That's insane.
After I knew nothing really about the music business as such. I just knew I could sing and I enjoyed playing.
Yeah.
So
But you've also had that experience, being the lead singer of a band. So you knew a little bit about music then, but you never really got the full business side until you pursued that Eddie Eastman persona, and then you also went on that record label, BelAir Records.
Right. Well, that's on my way to Bob's office one day before we released it. I said to my wife, I got to change the name. I just need a better name for on stage or on the record. So I kept the Eddie and I kept the Eastman, just because I'm from the East, like we talked about before. And that's just the way it happened.
Awesome. Now, you ended up taking home 2 Juno Awards in 1981 and 1983 for Best Country Male Vocalist. you received those, I think it was the RPM Country Music Awards back in the day.
Yep.
So when you found out you won 2 Junos in those years, what was going through your mind?
Well, all I could say was like I did an interview yesterday. I just put my hands on the rails to keep from falling off. I mean, it just went like a rocket, right? And next thing you know, we're selling out shows, different places, and after coming from a little bar in St. John's or wherever the case may be, we just kept rolling with the flow and doing bigger dates. Next thing you know, we're over in England.
Wow.
I'm like, okay, doing the festival over there, big old festival at Wembley Stadium. Now, I'm like, I guess I've made it. I don't know.
Yep.
I thought I did anyway.
A Juno can do that for you.
Yep, it was amazing. I think the weirdest part about the Juno Award was when I had to present an award with, I'm trying to think of the name of the band, a girl band, and I had to present an award. Was it Toronto? Is that the name of the band?
Is that the one with Your Daddy Don't Know?
I don't know that. I forget now.
I think Holly Woods was the lead singer of that band?
I think so. Anyway, they had me present the male vocalist of the year, not for country music, but this was at the Junos now, right? For male vocalist of the year. So they gave me the thing, and the girls are holding the award. And I looked in the camera and I said, and the winner is Bruce Cockburn. Well, the 2 girls next to me, they bent over laughing. And I'm like, why are they laughing? You know, like, why are you laughing? Then I realized what I said, right? I must have turned 40 colors.
Did he tell you after how to pronounce it?
No, I already knew them, but I just thought they were different. I didn't know. I mean, just like I said, I was so green, I didn't know Cockburn from Colburn. I mean, you know, like it's spelled Cockburn. To me, it's Cockburn. I mean, it's just simple as that. But I told a girl, who was it? I think it was Murray McLaughlin. Came out. I said, Murray, you tell him I apologize for mispronouncing his name. But in the Toronto Star the next day, it was Eddie Eastman. So they had to come up with something that's to say about the Junos. Well, Eddie Eastman mispronounces the male vocalist of the year, you know, which was still more publicity for me, right?
Oh yeah.
You know, so I didn't really care. Nobody really cared all that much. It's just a matter of the news media likes to pick out stuff like that.
Oh yes, and he liked to pick out that Freudian slip of the tongue.
Oh, that's exactly right. Yeah, anyway, you know, and same thing when Katie Lang was on there. I think the same year, I believe I won a Juno as well. Katie Lang was on the scene, and she was over the top. Walks out on the stage in a wedding dress. Katie Lang, you know, it was funny. But the news media was going nuts, right? They're chasing her all over or stuff like that. And now she's been inducted into the Canadian Country Music Hall of Fame.
Wow.
In September out in Edmonton.
That's crazy.
Yeah, she's going to be inducted into the...
So let's go to that. You were inducted into Canadian Country Music Hall of Fame in 2010.
2010, yeah.
What was that feeling like to, get that recognition from Canadian Country Board?
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, I never expected it. Like I always said, I thought you had to be dead to get into the Hall of Fame, but I guess they had just started this process, and there was only so many in there, and they put in 10 in 2010. That was the concept, I guess. But I didn't know until I got a call one day from them, and they said, "You're going into the Country Music Hall of Fame." I said, I had to go pinch myself. Jeez, you kidding me? I was in Nashville. I think I was mowing the lawn at the time, and a call come in, and I'm like, what? So I flew my family out to Edmonton, and we just enjoyed that for 3 or 4 days at the Country Music Awards out there. And
wow.
And it was great. And then I'm on the stage, and I'm thinking, okay, so 2010, I'm not young, I've been at the business a while.
Oh, yeah.
And then I get inducted, and then all I kept thinking about was that guy during the Oscar Awards. He came out and he did about 20 push-ups on the stage. What was his name?
I don't remember. I don't watch the Oscars.
He did them one-armed. Like
what?
This. Yeah. Older fella, right? So just to prove, I'm not dead, So I said to myself, I got to do something. So before, I think Michelle Wright came out with it, if I'm not mistaken, to present me with it. I got in the front of the stage and I did 10 push-ups on the stage. And I cracked. And I said, "No, that's for all you agents out there." You know? So and my wife's like, "Why'd you do that for?" I said, "Well, no, I just thought it'd be fun, you know."
Yeah.
My son cracked up, you know, and everybody laughed. It was a good time.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
But also goes to show that, like, you show no signs of slowing down either. I mean, like, you've been at this for quite a while.
Yeah.
But it shows that, like, you know, your career's not over. I mean, there's still a lot left to go for you.
Yep. I mean, I don't tour as much as I used to. We worked around the U.S. quite a bit, different nightclubs from different venues from Florida to Idaho. I think it's the longest drive I ever done was Nashville to Idaho.
Wow.
Idaho Falls.
That's nuts.
It's nuts. Going through Denver, you know, like driving all night and doing whatever. I went, the last time I went out was gone for 3 months straight. And I come back to my wife and said, you know, I can't do this anymore, going out for that length of time. So I kind of retired as having a band on the road, and then I went to hiring musicians that I know. If I was to come to Toronto, I know who to call to put a band together, and we'd go do a festival or a fair date or maybe even a concert date with some other artists and things, you know. So that's what I've been doing since then, you know.
Yeah, I'm just getting a word here. Jack Palance, I think was his name.
Jack
did
Palance.
The push-ups?
Yes, that's right.
Never even heard of him.
He came out and did the push-ups on the stage. I thought, well, that's fantastic. Because I was a lot younger than him when he did that, but Jack Palance, he came out there. That's what he did.
But you had like a point to prove because, like, when you get older in the industry that you're in, it shows like, you know, you're being put aside, and then the next generation can come in and take over. But there are some exceptions to that was to that case, because like you could be like doing different roles, you could be putting out different music. Like, I think the best example for that for me in the music scene is Johnny Cash. Like, his career was like dead and gone, saying like late 80s, early 90s.
Yep.
And he comes out with the American recordings, and he's the hottest thing again. And Rick Rubin pretty much made him the legend that he was.
Yep. When Johnny Cash walked into a room, you could feel the presence, you know.
Oh yeah.
It's just whatever they emit when they come in. It's just you could feel that Johnny Cash is in the room, or any of the other major stars, you know. Like, I was in Nashville for the the Radio DJ Awards.
Wow.
Radio Disc Jockey Awards. They have a big function in Nashville, and all the disc jockeys come in from all over America and Canada and U.S. or Europe, you know, all those.
Yeah.
They come in there and have a big dinner, and they have all kinds of things going on. So at the Grand Ole Opry, they introduce you on the stage, and you come out and say, "Hi, I'm so-and-so from wherever, and glad you're here in Nashville," you know, like, and then you walk off stage. Well, I was back there with everybody, like Tammy Wynette and Ricky Skaggs and all the people. And then they introduced me. And I walk out on the stage and, like, I don't know if anybody ever knew me, but I got invited to go out there and just say, "Welcome to Nashville, and my name's Eddie Eastman. See you down the road," type thing, you know. So it was kind of interesting to be involved in an industry like that, you know. And everybody very accepting in Nashville, you know. You don't have to be from Nashville to make it, you know.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you can have your own little niche that could really like stick out. I mean, like, you've done very well here in Canada.
Yeah.
And add to that Jack Palance point there. 72 was when he the age he was when he did that at the 1992 Oscars.
Yeah. To me, I saw that and I went, "Wow, that's funny."
Oh yes.
But he did it one-armed.
You did it two-armed, right?
I did two arms. I couldn't do the one. But I had cowboy boots on, and you're up on your tippy toes, you know, you're laying down. It was kind of odd, but I didn't slide around, but I got it done, and everybody cracked up. So it was just fun.
I would like to see Jack Palance do push-ups in cowboy boots.
Yeah, there you go. There's an idea. Jeez.
Well, going back to 1986, actually, you hosted 3 years of your own show called The Eddie Eastman Show on CBC. What were those days like for you?
Well, that was interesting. I'm sitting at home in Toronto, or in Mississauga, actually, we were living at the time. And I get a call from Leo Williams. He's a producer for CBC television.
Okay.
And so he said, Leo, he said, now one of you be interested in coming to do a show here, Eddie Eastman show, we're going to call it, and if there's something you think you'd like to do. And I'm like, well, yeah. We came here for a month and a half, for 3 years, doing tapings. I brought my band with me, so I never had to learn a whole bunch of new songs, like the band knew because we've been on the road playing together for quite a while. And then I think a second or third year we got some other players, like Sandy Morse came online to play guitar on the show. So he was the guitar player, I think, the second or third year. And so we had a few changes of musicians. But other than that, the center theme was Eddie Eastman show, so.
So who are some of the guests that you've had on that show back in the day? You don't have to name all of them, just name a few that come to your mind.
My cousins, of course, Bobby Evans, George Rousel. We had Ron Hines. Another girl named Sharon. We had one every show, so there was just a bunch of Newfoundland artists. And now, if you'd asked me 15 years ago who they were, I might remember them. But I did all.
But a lot has happened over the time that you did that show versus right now in 2024.
Well, after that, like I say, we were in Nashville and had a band there, so we went on the road, and we still played some Canadian dates. And then I kind of settled away into we had our own kids, and so rather than my wife be home all the time looking after the kids and trying to work and all that stuff, I said, well, I'm just going to have to cut back a bit. And that's what I did.
Put family
basically.
first.
Yeah, put family first. And once that all was all done, then we started doing more festivals and things, like especially in Canada, because, I had a bit of a name, so we're still able to go out there and do festivals and things like that. But this time around, we just happened to come to Newfoundland for my 50th wedding anniversary, my wife and I. And, of course, my birthday was July the 15th, and I just turned 75. So we figured we'd just go back to Newfoundland and have a little fun, throw a couple of parties. And I brought our family from Nashville, and we brought 2 other families from Nashville.
Wow.
Or we didn't bring them. They flew up on their own, but they're all here now today or tonight. And we'll go out and have a bite to eat. And so they're going like to Kitty Vitty and places like they'd never been to Newfoundland before. So they're looking forward to it, and they're staying up there on Signal Hill and that beautiful house up there, and you can look over the ocean. Last night they were out and they sent me pictures of eating cod tongues and crab. So there you go.
See, crab's great.
So they're going to have a gret time, and I'm so happy that they wanted to come, but because it's not a cheap deal to fly from Nashville and then stay out. It's amazing. They don't mind doing it, and it's a lot of fun. And they're on vacation, so they always go somewhere. So it just so happened we booked this, and they said, "Okay, we're coming." So
awesome. Well, hopefully this is not your last time here in Newfoundland when it comes to visiting the province.
Let me see. I think it was three years ago. Maybe 3.5 years ago. And we came and stayed in the same house that they're renting now again up there.
Wow.
We all stayed there then. But this time they got their whole families. So I said, look, you guys stay up there and enjoy the scenery.
Listen, take it all in. You only get to be here once every so often.
I've got a brother in St. John's. I've got friends here, and we got a place to stay. You know, no problem. You guys enjoy being up there because it's not that I haven't seen it before, but it's so amazing to be up there looking out over the ocean.
You want your family to, experience it the way that you experienced it when you used to live here.
Yeah, and take them up to Cabot Tower, and they go all around the trails up there and going down to these places, in Newfoundland. So, I'm just glad that they're able to come and see it because the weather's not hot like Nashville. You got it hot, but compared to Nashville, this is a winter day, Like
you have the hot weather down there, you have the humidity up here.
Yeah. Well, we built a sunroom on our back of my house. I call it the Easy Bake Oven because you go out there in the summertime and you just With all the windows open and the fans on you, you just can't stay out there.
Geez, you can cook a dinner in there.
Oh, I'm sure you could if you left it out there. We have the grandkids come over. We look after them and stuff. It's so hot that we can't let them go outside. I said, like, you guys are just going to have to stay in here and do whatever you do in the house until your parents come get you, But because they're out of school now, right? But they all start back at school in the first week of August, believe it or not. So
awesome. So you're living in Nashville nowadays. What's Eddie Eastman up to these days? Well,
I started a company with my son, and he worked at it for 5 or 6 years, working for somebody else. It was a roadside service business, like for tires and fuel deliveries on locks. If you locked your car, you would call up your insurance company, and then they send it out to people like the company I started, right? And we called it Swift Roadside Auto Service. And so they send out the call, and my son does 90% of it. Like if he gets a call way over this left field side of town and got to go that way, I'll say, look, I'll go over there and do that for you so you don't have to be running around like a chicken with his head cut off,
Yeah.
And so we started that 3.5 years ago, and as of today, we've done 22,000 calls.
Wow.
In 3.5 years.
That's insane. That's pretty good.
It's nuts, and just the two of us. And I said to him before I come up here, I said, I want to come back from Newfoundland. I said, you may have to take this company over because I just want to go out and be retired, and then I can come back to Newfoundland for about a month or two in the summertime and just stay here and maybe do some gigs and meet with folks and stuff like that. So, so we'll see how that goes. But it's a good little business. So that's basically what I'm doing in Nashville. Because I'm retired in Nashville, I don't really get out. I don't go downtown Broadway anymore. It's Broadway is like George Street every night. You know what I'm saying? It's just nonstop. So you go down there and there's a lot of music, a lot of tours, a lot of people.
Yeah,
they just love Nashville, and I can see why, because there's so much going on in downtown Nashville.
Yeah,
especially summertime.
Mallory Johnson will probably talk more about that than I would, because I've never been to Nashville before, but Mallory lives in Nashville now, and she's been a great country singer-songwriter. And of course, her mother is Loretta Johnson, who played with Reg Watkins back in the day.
Yep. Yeah, I know them all. I haven't seen them in a while, but Mallory, I hear, is doing very well for herself. So that's a great thing,
100%.
Yep. Great thing.
On that note, you're going to be playing that show with Rodney Slade, Dana Reed, Carla Pilgrim, among others. Are there any other country acts here that you got your eyes on in Newfoundland and Labrador that really, that stand out for you?
Well, I just happened, I'm living in Nashville. Like I said, I'm not around here a lot, but I see a lot of the Facebook postings of like Mallory or Shannon Ganook and Bud Davidge, and they're out playing down here at the George Street Festival and stuff, and a lot of the players like Dave Fitz and what's the name of the band he had?
Fables?
The Fables, all that crew. They've backed me a couple times over the years.
Nice.
Yeah, but doing straight country. But them guys, they're talented.
Yeah, it's great to see them still going.
Very talented, and the stuff they came up with, the style of music that they do, is very infectious. People like to have a good time.
Oh yeah,
and they just get out there and have it. Like when I played in Terra Nova there this past weekend, we had a little band called the Coastal Connection. It was just two people, but then they're related to me. But I didn't realize how good they were till they came in and played. She plays bass, Shirley, or Sandra, I'm sorry, and her husband, he plays the guitar, good guitar, good little duo, very entertaining, and I wish them all the success in the world. Now they finished my gig, it was my anniversary and our birthday party. And so they lived in Glovertown, so they're going to do a festival in Glovertown at 1 a.m. in the morning. They hit a moose on the way to the festival. And I'm like,
oh, no.
Oh, darn it. But they beat up the car, but everybody's okay.
Well, that's good.
It was amazing. Good. And I've said, so anybody's out there, be careful driving through the Terra Nova area. There's moose everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
I said,
because it's so much open road, you never know what's going to come on.
Yeah.
Either left or right.
I was trying to be funny, but I said, if you hit a moose, I want to come up for a quarter. Didn't realize that, they hit a moose. And my family, who flew in from Nashville, landed in St. John's Friday night, 10 o'clock, and rented a car and drove to Terra Nova at night. I'm like, you guys, be careful. And they rolled into our place at Terra Nova at 1:30 in the morning.
Wow.
And I said, you see any moose? Yeah, she said, coming up Terra Nova Road, there's a mama moose and the little one right behind him, walking up the road. The kids had a great time watching it, but I'm sad.
Well, that's good.
As long as you didn't hit the darn thing.
Yeah,
you
as
know?
long as they're safe, too.
Yeah. So, anyway, there's always something going on, you know?
Oh, yeah. But you mentioned, like, Shannekanaka. They're celebrating 30 years themselves. It's great to see them still going along.
Yep.
And I believe you mentioned Mallory. And Justin Fancy's another big one here, too.
Yep.
He's really making some strides. And he recorded in Nashville for his album, Whiskey and Me. I just wanted to bring up a photo that I think there was a photo of like yourself and I think David Aubrey and Simini playing at a festival like way back in 1986. It's crazy to believe that some of those guys are still on the go today, Bud Davidge, yourself included.
Well, when Bud Davidge or Simini were on, on the go, they're from down South Coast, right? They used to come. I used to work at the music store down here with Louis Skinner, and I used to sell them guys gear, amplifiers and guitars and everything like that for accordions, So we go back a long way as far as knowing each other,
Yeah.
And then, of course, Dick Nolan. I did lots of shows around. Dick was on the go playing Newfoundland music, and then recently I had a young fellow named Jason Benwall record a song that I wrote, but he called me one day. He said, "Eddie, did you write that song, Lifting Me Up, Letting Me Down?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "I've been thinking about that all day." And I didn't really know him, all that well, but he said, "Would you mind if I changed a few lyrics in the thing and kind of made it more modern,
Yeah.
So I said, "Sure, go right ahead." Anyway, he cut it, and make a long story short, he ended up after winning an award that year, and now he's after winning 2 or 3 more,
Yeah, he won an ECMA for Country Artist of the Year this year.
Yeah.
And we were up in Charlottetown for that, and it was great to see Jason. Because he was up for 6 awards the year prior, didn't win a thing. He's up for Country Artist of the Year, takes it home this year.
Yeah, well, that's good. 'Cause I hope the song helped them do that, because he got a fair amount of airplay, at least according to my SOCAN check.
Oh, nice.
So I was happy for him, and, hey, does anybody want to record some more of my stuff? Just get in touch with me.
Listen, we could be here for a long time talking about the stories and performers that you've encountered and played with. We only got a fair bit of time left, and we're going to get to one of your classic songs right after this conversation. If there's any advice you want to give to young performers out there, what would that be and why?
Well, I'll tell you, when I got inducted into the Hall of Fame, and I did my push-ups, I made a speech there, and all I can say is, if you're trying to move on with your career, try to find somebody to help you who knows something about the business, who can help you get bookings or, as a personal manager type thing. Because it's very difficult to do it on your own. It's difficult to praise your own self up,
Uh-huh.
You got to have people go out there on your behalf and push you. Try to get a good agent, or if you're going to be in the music business, come to the CCMA Awards in Edmonton in September and do a little,
Networking?
Networking. There's that. But also, you get on stage and play, and people can come see you, watch you, listen to you, play half a dozen songs. Showcasing. There you go. My brain is going. Showcasing. Because we did that when I was starting out. And at that time, I was brand new at it. And so in comes like Carol Baker, Fanny Brown, Good Brothers, people like that, sitting down in the audience while I was up there singing my songs. And so I guess they got impressed. It's a great way to get yourself marketable and get in there, That's when I ended up getting Tommy Hunter's show, got Ronnie Prophet's show, the Family Brown show, any show that was available, I was on there, As a matter of fact, even Pierre Trudeau's ex-wife interviewed me.
Wow.
Margaret Trudeau.
Wow.
Back in the day in Ottawa.
I never knew that.
Yeah, she had some kind of a talk show, I think.
Okay.
Going on, or an entertainment talk show. We walk out and they play a couple songs, then they interview you type thing. Mm-hmm. So she interviewed me, and which I thought was kind of interesting,
Awesome.
over the years, right? So, you just never know. But do what you can, get out there, put yourself out there,
Yeah, that is absolutely wonderful, and I think that advice applies to to the performers that you hung around with back in the day, and that applies to anybody that's out there now, because I find after dealing with a lot of the musicians that I deal with, like, it really is hard to do things all by yourself, but all the stuff that you have there, like the internet, you have streaming services, you have all these social media platforms to your disposal. But sometimes it's really hard to do that all by yourself.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, at the social media, you can sit around here like we're doing now. Maybe you could get your own YouTube channel or something like that, which happens. And I don't see anything wrong with doing that. I think that's great. But like I say, you gotta get out there and market yourself some way and have people give you a lift up,
For sure, and persistency is key, and
Yeah.
consistency is key.
Yeah, and get wherever you can play, just play and enjoy it, and you'll make connections along the way. I didn't know anybody when I really started in the music business as such. I just knew I could sing, and then I wrote some songs. If you write some good stuff, then if it's good enough, people will respond.
For sure. Now, you've been at this for, I believe, half a century now, and you've been at this for quite a while. What's next for Eddie Eastman?
Right now, I just basically, I'm more or less retired. I got the little business in Nashville with my son. He pretty well looks after that. So, and I still will do some festivals, and we did one in Ontario last year. That's the last festival I did, and I guess I could book more of them, but I don't know. I just want to relax and enjoy the rest of whatever I got left. You know what I'm saying?
So, say for example, if you wanted to do a tour around the arts culture centers of the province, would you do that?
Yes, I certainly would. We've done it before through Vonco Entertainment, and I've been talking to Pam Pardy. She's a very good promoter, and so we've talked about it. But if it comes through, I don't mind doing it.
Yeah.
I feel good about my vocals. We were in Terra Nova and sang, and I looked at some of the playback, and I guess I can still sing. So
Oh, yeah.
My grandmother had a sewing machine that was a singer.
Wow.
Minnie White, look there.
Oh, wow.
I knew Minnie. She's Louis. She's related to Lou Skinner.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yep. I've run across her quite a bit over the years, years ago.
Awesome.
But yeah, if people, like, I've got a website, it's just eddieeastman.com. On there, we put some albums up there and CDs and stuff like that. But if anybody wanted to send a message or just get in touch with me, just go to eddieeastman.com. And eventually, I'll get to see it,
If there's one word or phrase to describe the career that you've had, what would that be and why?
One word or just...
A word or a phrase.
A word or a phrase, just persistence. Yeah.
And why would that be, persistence?
Because with the persistence comes the fact that, you could be turned down, but if you keep it up, and eventually you may learn something a little bit different about how to approach things. And persistence means that other people will maybe see you when you didn't get to see you before. So, just keep doing your thing. And if you believe in yourself, you got to believe in yourself. And then I think it'll happen if you start thinking logically as to how you're going to get to where you're going,
I should definitely apply that to myself there, Eddie. Well, this has been an absolute
congratulations, by the way.
Well, thank you so much. And I have 2 awards now to prove it. The ECMA and the Music Award. And I also have a little award over there for my Celtic Wake Up show that I had back in 2019.
Well, there you go. Now you know what it's all about then.
Oh, yes. It wasn't overnight that I got those, though.
Right.
I'll tell you that much.
Well, that's great. Congratulations.
Well, Eddie, this has been an absolute blast, and thank you. I got to give a big shout out to Pam Pardy for setting this up, and thank you so much for coming to Newfoundland and Labrador once again. Hopefully, this is not your last time here in Newfoundland, and hopefully, this is not your last time here on the podcast. Thank you so much again for doing this, Eddie. Have a wonderful day, and welcome back home.
Thank you very much. And as Elvis would say, thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Eddie Eastman has left the building.